Hello everyone, this is Johnny and welcome back. It's at the end of October and I want to give you a quick update for how the Japanese maple seedlings are doing. I also want to talk a little bit about starting seeds because the fall season is actually when you start seeds if you're going to let them naturally stratify out in the weather. And then I also wanted to give you an update on a successful air layer that I potted up last week, so stick around. So last fall, roughly a year ago, I collected a large number, thousands of Japanese maple seeds. I sowed them in trays with soil and I showed you that process. And a lot of those germinated and I potted those up this season. And you can see some beautiful fall colors coming out, for example, here in these Mikawa Yatsubusa seedlings. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this white shade cloth. I think it looks great. It seems to filter the light well. And by and large, the Japanese maple seedlings have done well. I'm pretty happy with my watering as well. I did notice that maybe I should put a filter out because I do have some mineral buildup there, you can see. So I might consider putting in some kind of filter to filter that out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with my setup here. The benches worked out well. But you can see just across here that a lot of these Japanese maples are looking pretty good. Some of them have some scorching from the sun. You're going to get a little bit of that with the heat and sun, even with the shade cloth over it. I love the fall colors of that tray right there. This is just a standard green Acer palmatum. There are still some trays that I did not get to potting up, and I'll have to probably pot those up when it comes to this next spring. But I did get a lot done this year and did actually pot up quite a few. Okay, let's talk about starting Japanese maples from seed. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you want to actually sow Japanese maple seeds generally in the fall. You can do refrigerator stratification and do that at a different season, but it works best if you go out and you pick fresh seed right around this time of the year, October, November, and when you do that, you're able to go ahead and directly sow that in soil trays. And you do that right around this season. You put it in some trays, you cover it with soil, you put it out and let it go through the winter. It's good that you put some kind of mesh screen or something over it to protect it from pests, rodents, things like that, that'll just eat the seeds, or even cats and things that like to dig in soil. So you want to go ahead and protect it there. But let the seeds go through the natural winter stratification process. Then when spring comes along, you should have a large number of those germinate. That's the easiest way to do it and not hassle with refrigerator stratification and just all this fancy stuff. You don't need to do fancy things. Like, seeds naturally want to grow. You just need to give them the right environment. Now, as a reminder, I do have a Japanese maple propagation guide, a digital guide that I have available. I will put a link to that down in the video description below. And in that guide, I do give step-by-step instructions for stratifying your seeds with this natural process, like I'm mentioning here, sowing them in the fall and growing them out with a bunch of different tips and tricks throughout that process. So I have that in that guide. But let's go over to a Japanese maple tree with some seeds, and I'll show you what to look for those seeds. Okay, over by my shade house here, this is a peaches and cream, Acer palmatum peaches and cream. You can see the reticulated veining there. And this tree is stunning throughout the year, especially though in the spring. And then we should get some fall color that is beautiful as well in the coming weeks. But what you're looking for is you want the Japanese maple seeds to be kind of starting to dry. We're here at the very end of October. See those seeds? They're not green anymore, they're kind of drying out. And that means that they should be ripe enough to go ahead and harvest them, and then you can sow them in trays. This tree actually has a pretty large number of seeds, and you can see once again here, these seeds are pretty dry, which means they're completely ripe, ready to pick. And this is the time once again to go ahead and pick those, sow those in trays, and go through that process. Okay, now I want to quickly give an update on an air layer that I took back in June. And this is also a topic that is covered in the Japanese maple propagation guide that you can purchase, that digital guide. I give you the step-by-step processes for successfully rooting an air layer. But in June, I actually did an air layer on a branch of this tree, and that branch was right there. You can see that fresh cut right there. I air layered this branch, and it was successful. Last week, I actually came and potted that up, and as you can see in the clip I'm going to put over the video here, there is a decent amount of roots. When I opened that up and revealed there are a decent amount of roots. And you want to wait till the weather cools back down sometime around the fall season to go ahead and pot that up. And then if you get a good hard frost, you'll want to protect that tree from the frost the first little bit until it can kind of settle in the new soil. I just put it in a number 2 black pot with some good soil mix that I have here, the same soil mix I've used for my seedlings. And I put that in there. I protected it from one of the cold nights that we had, but right now it's actually just out in the elements. It should be good through the winter, as is without protection. However, if you live in a colder climate, you may need to put it in a greenhouse or some kind of protection the first year. Of course, Japanese maples are hardy down, many of them down to zone 5 and some of them down to zone 6. Some are not as hardy as others. But when you have a tree in a pot, you need to really go up a zone or 2. So a Japanese maple in a pot would not be good in a zone 5. You probably would be kind of pushing it in a zone 6. You'd probably be more like a zone 7 to be safe. But nonetheless, this was a successful air layer, and if you want to learn more about how to do that, I have that in the Japanese Maple Propagation Guide. Okay, well that's all I have for today's update. I do encourage you to go ahead and collect Japanese maple seeds, sow those in some trays, put some kind of mesh screen over those, and see if you can germinate a bunch of those and have a bunch of Japanese maple seedlings this coming spring. I hope you guys have a great fall, but until next time, thanks for watching.